My name is Dave Soares and I'm the Director of the Chartered Accountancy firm Staples Rodway Hawke's Bay Limited. The New Zealand Honey Industry Trust is a charitable trust that was established back in June 1983, some 30 years ago, having been settled by the New Zealand Honey Marketing Authority, and that's where the original capital came from for the trust. The current trustees are Mr Ian Berry, Mr Alan McCaw as industry representatives, and myself as a non-industry person. In brief, the objectives of the trust are for the general advancement of the New Zealand honey industry through education, study, investigation and research. The trust is formally registered as a charitable entity under the Charities Act 2005, and this confirms that the trust has tax-free status going forward. Just for your information, I'll give a wee bit of detail as to the grants that have been approved in the last year or so. In the 2015 calendar year, the Trust approved grants for the industry unification via the NBA of $25,000, for the National Bee Health Survey, $15,000, and in this, the 2016 calendar year to date, we have provided funds to Michelle Taylor for PhD studies of $2,500, to Fanny Monday in regard to Varroa mite research in conjunction with the Otago University, $16,000, and more recently we've approved a grant for Trees for the Bees project over 3 years, $30,000. The trust has a 31 December balance date and is subject to audit, and that audit's been completed for the prior year with a clean audit report. As to the investment funds that the trust has available to it, the trust has total funds of approximately 1.6 million as of end of December 2015, and that's slightly up on the prior year, which was 1,548,000. So the trustees are mindful of trying to maintain the trust fund intact with some CPI adjustment, as obviously the trust fund is there for the future years of the honey industry and requires some protection to ensure that it is still there. In conclusion, I'd like to thank you and the conference organisers for having this opportunity of presenting this report to you today, and in particular just to share with you some of the activities of the Honey Industry Trust. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. If they get a bit curly, I may need to refer you to my fellow industry trustees, but happy for you to ask any questions if you have any.
Dave, Barry Foster.
Hi, Barry.
Yep. Research Focus Group. Let's ask the question, with the lowering of interest rates on bank deposits and the like, are you finding that you're having less money to gift or grant to industry?
Right. Certainly in the last 2 or 3 years, as we're all aware, the investment returns are well down. The investment funds are professionally invested, so they're in a balanced portfolio, so they do have exposure to shares as well, and some of the share markets in the last few years, particularly New Zealand's been very good, so that's certainly helped us. We are always mindful of what income's coming in from the trust fund, but equally the trustees do take a longer term view that while it may not be possible to balance the books within that 12-month period, if there's a particular requirement for funds for grants that we believe is a high priority, then we'd certainly look very carefully at trying to fund that, albeit it might go beyond our income within that 12-month period. So it's a longer term view.
Is this on? Linda Newstrom-Lloyd from Trees for Bees, and I just want to really thank you very much for the Honey Trust to fund us. You started us out in 2009-10, for our first SFF grant and have helped us in 2013 for our second SFF grant. And I want to thank you very much for helping us again for our 2016 for the next 3 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're most welcome. That one's hot off the press because the trustees just had a meeting at lunchtime and approved that. But no, and the trustees are very supportive of that endeavour, so thank you. All right. Enjoy the rest of your conference. Thank you.